All right, so I've had the Samsung Galaxy S25 Ultra for about a month now, and I love it. But I think Samsung might lose me as a customer on the next iteration.
Namaste, we're DHRME. Dudes heavily require massive entrance.
Completely irrelevant.
So you've actually upgraded from the S24 Ultra to the S25 Ultra. And in that time, I haven't used the S25 Ultra, but I did watch a bunch of reviews, and people are saying, if I can basically summarize, they're saying, okay, love the fact that it's boxed off edges, it's lighter. Yeah, boohoo, they've removed the Bluetooth on the S Pen, right? The cameras are maybe a little bit better, and that's kind of it.
Yeah, I think it's a great phone. Still, I really think it's like great hardware.
Yeah.
The rounded edges, I was skeptical at first, but I think along with the smaller bezels on the screen, which nobody's talking about, or at least not many people, in daily use, it feels like a much smaller phone with more screen actually. So that's really cool. I love the long-term, software support that Samsung offers. It makes it easier to sell these phones as well because, you have like 6 more years in the tank in terms of software support. I love the S Pen. Very unique. Nobody else has that. The Bluetooth functionality, as you said, boohoo, don't care about it. One UI 7, surprisingly, I really like it. I remember the old days of the, what was it? TouchWiz that we used to have, and that was like, is such a stark contrast. But still, I mean, the camera, only the ultra wide has been upgraded. The others have from the older generation. The selfie camera is great. I like a lot about this phone. But it's not what drew me to Samsung in the first place,
What drew you to Samsung then?
I don't know if you've been on this whole smartphone journey as well. And the Samsung of yesteryear was like this whimsical, crazy company, right? Like it did things like foldables. Like, I mean, when foldables came out, the first gen was trash. Everybody kind of knew it. But they've iterated so fast. They did things like the curved edge, the edge phones. Then they did things like iris scanners and, touchless scrolling. You can scroll with your eyes. And I'm not saying all these features were good. Don't get me wrong. Many of these were utter fails.
But they tried their hand at experimentation, right?
Every generation had something crazy.
Right, early adopters. And now you see, right, OnePlus Open and Google Pixel Fold, all of these foldables and new kinds of things coming in. But they were there from the beginning. And so you kind of missed that, huh?
One of the reasons I used to support Samsung was it was kind of the underdog, you know? So it's like, it's trying hard. It's coming up with something new. It's like the whole Coke versus Pepsi thing, like Pepsi said, we are number 2 and they proudly advertise that, because there is something that you have for an underdog, but they aren't the underdog anymore. I mean, there's a phone here, which is the Oppo Find X8 Pro. This kind of really opened my eyes. I'm not saying this is the best smartphone out there or whatever.
But what was it though then?
It's so many things. I mean, you're looking at all the Chinese companies now. You look at Oppo, Xiaomi, OnePlus, all these companies are innovating like Samsung used to. And that is what is pissing me off. So you've seen 1-inch cameras recently with Xiaomi, 1-inch sensors rather. Oh my God, on a smartphone. You have that weird detachable camera thing which is actually a camera, not just a lens. You have silicon carbon batteries, which actually are a real life game changer. I mean, the charging speed you get on the Oppo is like up to 100 watts or something ridiculous like that. And the Samsung is still stuck on what?
20, 25 or something
like that. It's like, I'm sure they're afraid of the whole Note 7 fiasco, but it's holding them back, They have a lot of baggage and a lot of history. Even IP ratings, like the Oppo has IP68 and IP69, which by the way are mutually exclusive. If you're 69 doesn't mean you're 68.
Interesting.
If you're 69 means you're having fun. No, but if you're IP69, it basically protects you from sprays and jets because you're 69. And even the screens that are in the Samsung phones, fantastic. I love them. But if you're getting really nerdy about it with, the PWM values and stuff, these are not the top on the market. Samsung is making panels provided to other manufacturers which have better PWM values. The charging speeds we talked about, the crazy external lenses, there's none of that. And they came up with foldables first, which I will give them credit for. But look at the latest foldables. Look at the Find N5 or whatever it is, the latest Oppo. It's like thinner.
Super thin,
It's almost as thick as an iPhone, the whole foldable thing. So I feel like Samsung, where is that Samsung?
I do get why Samsung is playing it safe. because if you see how many brands have now followed suit in foldables and started releasing all of their foldables, and probably a lot better than what Samsung was. But back in the day, there weren't any competitors because Samsung was the one innovating and experimenting.
Yeah.
Now they've become the laggard, right?
Yes.
It's taking them a long time to introduce new features and functionalities. I mean, just look at the charging speeds.
Yes.
Right? They're not experimenting anymore after that fiasco on the, what was it, Note 7 or whatever. And I feel like the other brand that we can think of, which is ahead of Samsung in a way, in a worse way, is Apple, right? All of their features come out much later. And I feel like Samsung is becoming that.
Yeah.
Taking a long time. Why? Because they just dominate such a big part of the market, right? Apple with their iPhones, obviously, and Samsung is now kind of the iPhones of the Android world. That's how I...
Oh, that's almost like, feels like you're cursing. But yeah, sure.
Not if you look at what they make, Apple. So,
yeah, that's true.
That's a compliment.
Yeah.
But like you said, back in the day, no, you had tons of options,
Yeah.
and Samsung just happened to be one. Now, for a lot of people, it is the safest bet. So when you go for the safest bet, you want things to work, and any small mistake is amplified in the market, and everyone's talking about it. Just missing Bluetooth on an S Pen that nobody used, everyone's talking about it. Like, there's that, and because Samsung has been in the market for so long, people have accumulated parts of the ecosystem, and so
What do you mean?
so there's that, there's tablets, laptops, maybe even a Galaxy Ring, for example. And so for them to then switch to an Oppo or switch to whatever, it doesn't really make sense. They kind of stick with the familiar, stick within the ecosystem. So that's why I keep saying they're the Apple of Android. So yeah, people are going for the safe option. They want it to work. Otherwise, their whole ecosystem may take a hit. So I can understand where they're coming from and why it takes so long for them to introduce new features. But when they do it, hopefully it's good and people are happy about it. They just don't want to experiment as much.
Yeah. I don't know, man. Like, they used to always have like an experimental model as well. They used to have the regular models, then they used to have an Edge, or they used to have a Note, or they used to have an Ultra. Those were kind of the experimental biggest.
Do you think the people buying the Ultra would be happy with experimental features, either on hardware or on software?
I can only talk for myself.
Yeah.
Yes, I think I would. It's a very solid phone. Again, don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
No,
in its current state it is, but they're not like...
I wouldn't mind an iris scanner that didn't work,
Yeah, okay.
Big deal, I switch it off,
Yeah.
Stuff like that. Of course, if they mess it up and like the design is completely destroyed, that's a different thing. But I'm talking about experimental features which add a bit more fun, a bit more whimsy, and I miss that whimsical Samsung.
Yeah.
That's kind of what I'm going for. I think maybe the S25 Edge is an attempt at that, and we talked about this also in an older video.
Yeah.
They've announced it, kind of half announced it, and it's kind of going to be released soon.
Yeah.
But it really feels like maybe they're trying something new there. I just hope they're not just thinning down the phone and selling it for more money with fewer cameras. I hope it's not a 16e.
Temper your expectations.
You're a 16e fan. I just hope it's not an iPhone 16.
Yeah.
That's my conclusion of Samsung right now. Is they're making it really hard for the oldies to remain fanboys. I'm not sure how you guys look at it. I mean, let us know in the comments down below. But there's a reason I fell in love with Samsung and the phones, maybe, but kind of falling out of love. That's a good title for the video.
Falling out of love.
With Samsung.
Wow.
Nice.
Okay.
Heard it here first.
Thanks a bunch for watching, guys. Again, let us know how you see this all playing out with Samsung in the market. So yeah, speak to you there. And again, thanks to our patrons and our YouTube members for supporting us financially. You can be a member or a patron on 4 different levels. So we've got our Popsicle tier, Icicle tier, and
beautiful tested tier members and patrons, and the ultimate, the Fuckman tier members, Rachel, Raj Panda, and Paula. Thank you very, very, very much.
You've been falling out of love.
We've been DHRME. Do we?